Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk about something called Byzantine fault tolerance. So again we have a distributed system like we had in Raft. Let's say we have n servers. In Raft we allowed only the fail-stop failure model. So we said that any particular node can fail, it can go down. And then the challenge was how to maintain the state that the system had earlier. So we said that there will be a leader of some kind who will respond, who will take the requests from the client and respond to it. And we said that the leader is going to first update at least a majority of the nodes in the network, and only after that it will update its local state. Okay, and we had to have a clever way of electing a new leader so that the new leader would have the correct state that the old leader had. Okay, and that itself became a bit tricky, how to do that. Right, but here we want to go beyond the fail-stop model and we want to look at Byzantine behavior. So Byzantine behavior essentially means that there can be any malicious behavior from nodes. In general, that's what it means. So here a node is, it's possible for a node to behave arbitrarily different from what the protocol says it should do. Okay, so it's very different from the fail-stop model. So where does this Byzantine idea come from? And we need to go back to the Byzantine generals problem. Okay, so what is the Byzantine generals problem? So the good old Byzantine generals problem, as it was formulated in the original paper on this subject, so it was assumed that there was ancient times, and of course the Byzantine Empire was essentially the eastern half of the Roman Empire, and it lasted from around 300s AD till around 1400 1500 AD, right? A very long time. And so that particular empire was taken in the paper as an example. So there's a city over here which is being surrounded by different generals. Let's just call them General 1, General 2, General 3, and so on. Okay, maybe there's a fifth general here or sixth general. So these generals are surrounding the city, and these generals have to decide whether to attack or not. Attack or don't attack. So this is a setting where if essentially they have to achieve consensus on this. You can think of it that way. It's like a one-bit decision that they have to make. They should decide whether to attack or don't attack. And what we could do is we could choose one of them to be the leader. Okay, that's a straightforward way of trying to achieve consensus, is that you choose somebody to be the leader and then everybody goes along with him, right? That would be a straightforward way, but then we have to deal with situations of either the leader failing or the leader being even malicious. Okay, so here there is the leader, the leading general, and his job to decide whether to attack or not to attack. But here these Byzantine generals can be malicious. So, for example, this guy might say attack. He might say attack, but he might tell somebody else don't attack. Okay. So this is a tricky situation, and I mean, how do you achieve consensus in this sort of a situation? It seems very, very tricky because the leader is behaving malicious, right? And of course, we have to think what sort of a network do we have. So maybe it's possible that, let's say, this general may not be able to directly talk to all of them. Let's say it is through a network, and maybe this G5 may be malicious, for example, right? And he says that don't attack. So he tells G3, I heard from the leader that who said don't attack. Okay, so or maybe G3 doesn't even send the message to somebody, or maybe G4, let's say, maybe G1 is not directly connected to G6. G4 doesn't send the message to G6. Okay, so in a general situation, messages can be delayed and people can lie, or they may be faulty because of which they are not telling the truth, and so we have to achieve consensus in these sorts of situations, right? So we have to handle network delays. And then we also have to take care of nodes forwarding wrong information. Okay, so basically going against the protocol rule. So the protocol says that everybody needs to speak the truth and the leader has to say the same thing to everybody, but they could deviate from that, right? And what do we do in this sort of a situation? It seems like an impossible problem, right? How do you deal with such a situation? So first of all, let's talk about what do we want in this sort of a situation. So what do we want in consensus? So first of all, so really you can't do much about the malicious generals, because malicious general can do whatever he wants, right? You can't guarantee anything about him. But at least the honest generals among all these Byzantine generals, and some of them are honest, right? And so of course the term that you use in the literature is that Byzantine means malicious, and then the rest are usually considered honest, right? And then of course in some papers they may actually talk about rational minors. So rational people go based on incentives. If you give them enough of an incentive to behave honestly, they will behave honestly, right? But these Byzantine fault tolerant protocols really look at these two situations. One is where you have honest people, honest nodes, who follow everything perfectly as the protocol specifies, and you have malicious nodes who can behave arbitrarily. Okay, so first, what do we want? So first of all, we want agreement. And this means that all honest generals must reach the same decision. So that seems reasonable. I mean, that's what you would want, that at least all the honest generals should together agree to attack or not attack. That's what we want. Secondly, we want termination. Which means that all honest generals must eventually make a decision. So this is also something reasonable to expect, that they actually decide on something. Okay, so if they don't decide on anything, I mean, then where is the consensus? Right, so we want them, all honest generals, to make a decision to attack or not to attack, and they must all agree. They must all agree on the same decision. So those are basic requirements. So is this enough for consensus if you think about it? They've all agreed on something, and on the same thing also. Okay? But let's think about it. Suppose we say that we program into the protocol that all honest generals will always, let's say, attack, okay, or don't attack, right? Maybe one, or maybe don't attack is safer. So for honest generals, before everything starts itself, they decide don't attack. That satisfies agreement and termination, right? Suppose we program into them that they have to don't attack. They all make a decision which is don't attack, and they all make the same decision, don't attack. But that seems to be like a trivial solution, right? That always you don't attack. I mean, we want to have a situation where you do also attack sometimes. Right? In a war situation, both options should be available. So the third option is usually called validity. That if the leader is honest, no matter what it decides, all other honest generals must agree to its command. Okay. So we are saying that if the leading general is honest, all other honest generals must do what he says. The Byzantine generals we can't do much about. They will do whatever they want. I mean, they may agree to do the same thing or disagree or whatever. It's up to them. But at least we want the other honest generals to do whatever the honest leader is telling them to do. And that much we want from consensus. Okay. So the question is, how are we going to do this? Okay, so how are we going to sort of achieve these three different things? Because people can be lying and so on. Okay. So we are going to look at a paper called we look at PBFT, something called a Practical Byzantine Fault Tolerance. We look at the details in the next lecture that I put up. but it's proposed by Professor Barbara Liskov and one of her former students, Castro, at MIT. Okay, so they did their work in the late 90s, and they claim, and of course many people have come up with protocols which are Byzantine fault tolerant, which means that they actually achieve these consensus requirements. But let's think about it. So, how are we going to achieve this? So we have n servers or n nodes. Suppose, I mean, all of them are Byzantine. Then can you achieve this consensus? I mean, there's no honest people. So what does it mean, right? What sort of functioning system is it? Right? So we want to have some notions of safety and liveness. Liveness is sometimes called availability. Okay, so each research paper might give you a slightly different definition of these, but essentially safety means what? Safety means that nothing bad happens. So this is not a formal definition, but informal definition is that nothing bad happens. And availability, informal definition is that something good can happen. And in a blockchain situation, nothing bad happens means once a transaction has got into the blockchain, it remains there, let's say. Right? Nothing bad can happen. And something good can happen means that the transaction can get in. Right? Some honest person is sending a transaction and there is within some short amount of time it gets in. Okay? So the system is live, it can accept transactions. Okay? And if you think about it, actually in Satoshi's solution, proof of work, we are not guaranteed nothing bad can happen, right? Because you can have forks and things like that, which will cause an old transaction, maybe which entered the blockchain, maybe that particular block will get removed or orphaned from the blockchain. So Satoshi doesn't guarantee safety in any sense, right? But of course, proof of work guarantees liveness in the sense that your chain is always going to keep growing no matter what. So transactions will get in, but it doesn't guarantee safety, that nothing bad can. Okay, so what do we mean by safety and liveness here? So the replicated service behaves as a central implementation. It behaves as a centralized implementation. That executes operations atomically one at a time. Okay, so your distributed system should behave like a single server. That's what we want, which doesn't have any faults. Okay, centralized. Let's say maybe I should put here non-faulty. Okay, that's implicitly meant over there. So it's a proper centralized implementation which is not faulty. And what about availability? is that here it means that clients eventually receive replies to their requests. The question arises as to how many Byzantine nodes we can tolerate in the system. So we said that if there are n nodes, so what fraction of these can be Byzantine, and can we, with that fraction we can still have consensus. Okay, so suppose there are f Byzantine nodes. So really the answer depends on various factors. So one of them has to do with the network delays. So usually we consider asynchronous or synchronous systems. So asynchronous system, there is no upper bound on the delay for a message to go from one node to the other. So it's there is no upper bound on the amount of time a node takes to receive, process and respond to an incoming message. So this is somewhat of an unrealistic assumption. I mean, normally when you send out messages, you expect them to take some finite amount of time to reach the destination, right, and for the message to be processed. So luckily for us, most systems are not probably completely asynchronous, and you can expect some upper bound on the delays, right? So in an asynchronous system, the question is how large can f be? And in fact, it has been shown that in an asynchronous system, you definitely want f to be at least less than 1/3 of the nodes. Okay, and if you don't have that, then you can show that there are certain situations in which you may not have consensus. Okay, so let's look at an example. So this example is given in the PBFT paper, which we will be discussing soon. So here you have n nodes, and let's say that you have a client, and the client first does a write. So let's say it sets x equal to 3 in the write, okay, to the n nodes. And in this setup, let's say that the client directly can send a message in which, on let's say some broadcast network which reaches all the nodes, right? And let's say that they can individually reply back to the client. So suppose here only n minus f nodes reply. So we are not saying what f is, and we'll show that f has to be less than n over 3. So n over f respond, and they say, let's say that we have got your message and we've updated our state to x equal to 3. So should the client wait for more than n minus f nodes in this situation? So just think about it. So f nodes are Byzantine. So these F nodes might just decide not to respond. Right? They are malicious and they just may not respond. So the client should be willing to be happy if only n-f respond. Okay, so we don't know which f of them are malicious. We are just saying maximum of f could be malicious, right? So and let's say f, we put some number down, right? Based on n, we say that this many can be malicious. Okay? So we have to be willing to proceed even if only n-f respond. And let's say that n-f nodes say that we have heard your write message and we have noted down that x is equal to 3. Okay. So now let's say another client, let's say, comes to read. Client 2 says that I want to read value of x. And we should want the system to respond with x equal to 3, right? Because that is the last value which has been written now. So let's think about it. So we have these n nodes. And now let's say that we get a response from n-f nodes. And we have to be able to function even if only this many nodes reply, because we are saying that f nodes can be Byzantine. Okay. Now let's look at overlap, how much overlap could be there between these sets of nodes. So there are some n-f nodes which replied the first time and another n-f nodes which responded. So let me draw these nodes here, and let's say that these represent the n nodes on this line. Okay, whatever, as many, I'm just going to mark all of them. So initially, let's say that these were the n-f nodes which replied. And it's possible that the second time some other set n-f replied. And in the worst case, they would have only a small set of nodes which are common to both of them. So I've sort of drawn it that way, sort of, so that there is minimum overlap. So here we have f nodes and here we have f nodes. So here we have n-2f nodes. Okay, that's the overlap. Okay. So we may have only n-2f nodes common between them. Okay. Now, in the worst case, all the Byzantine nodes may actually be here. So there are f Byzantine nodes. Okay. So you might say, hey, why is it this the case? Because we are saying that these f nodes, let's say these f nodes didn't reply when we did a write, and these f nodes didn't reply when we did a read. Okay? But remember that we are looking at an asynchronous system. So just because a node didn't reply doesn't mean that it is Byzantine. It's just that maybe the message took just so long to reach the client that he, his timer or whatever expired, and he had to make a decision by then. Right? So in an asynchronous system, messages can take arbitrary amount of time to reach the other. Right? So these F nodes which didn't respond in both the cases were actually honest in this scenario we are looking at, but it's just that the messages took too long, that's why they didn't reach the client. Okay. So the read, let's say the write reply set let's say I'm just going to call it W. Let's say that the write reply set and the read reply set, let me give it some notation, read reply set. So what I am saying is that if we look at the number of nodes in the intersection of these, okay, that is going to be, could be in the worst case n minus 2. And how many of these, we are saying in the worst case, out of these F may be Byzantine. Now this is an issue. So that means how many honest nodes do we have here? Honest nodes present is n minus 3f. Okay. And if f is greater than n minus 3, that means there could be no honest nodes over here. Okay. So maybe let me put it this way: we want at least one honest node to be common, to be in WRS intersection RRS. Okay? Because if we don't have at least one honest node, then there's no way that the system is going to function, because somebody is he's writing x is equal to 3, and only if if there is no common honest node between these two, then there is just no way that we can guarantee that the value that has been written is going to be the value that is coming back. Okay, so we want at least one honest node to be present in this intersection between the nodes that got the right value, the value that was written, and the nodes which replied when a read request came. Okay, so this is a very sort of general example, and we are showing that here that if, so we want n minus 3f to be greater than 1 at least. Okay, otherwise there's no way that the read value is going to be the same as the write value. Okay, so we want n to be greater than or equal to 3f plus 1. Okay, so this is an example where we are showing that an upper bound for f is n over 3, right? And if you have more than that, then there are situations where you will not be able to achieve consensus. Okay, so this is some basics about the Byzantine fault tolerant system. We'll be looking at the PBFT protocol in some detail in the next few lectures. But before that, I wanted to talk about an impossibility result. So there are a few of these impossibility results in distributed systems in computer science. One, let me talk about one of them. One of them is called the Fisher-Lynch-Patterson impossibility result. So Patterson is from the UK, Nancy Lynch is from MIT, Fisher I believe is from Yale. But in 1985 they came up with an impossibility of distributed consensus with one faulty process. Okay, that was the title of their paper. So anyway, let's look at their theorem, their main result. That it says that it is impossible to have a deterministic protocol that solves a consensus in an asynchronous system when at most one process may fail by crashing. Okay, so let me write it down. It is impossible to have a deterministic protocol that solves consensus in a message passing asynchronous system So this is for an asynchronous system, not for a synchronous one. So in a synchronous system, you have an upper bound, a known upper bound on the delay of the messages, in which at most one process may fail by crashing. So this is a very powerful result. So it's saying that in certain situations you just cannot have consensus. And so of course, what do I mean by consensus here? Well, it's this what we had discussed over here: agreement, termination, and validity. That you cannot have all of these in an asynchronous system if the system allows even a single node to fail. So this is a fail by crashing is fail stop. We're not even looking at a Byzantine system. Okay, so they are looking at a very system where there are no malicious nodes. There are just, let's say, some n nodes, but it's asynchronous, so it could take arbitrarily long for messages to go across. And they are saying that even if a single node fails, then they can find situations where you cannot come up with a consensus protocol which works, which gives agreement, termination, and validity. Okay, so very powerful result. You can look at that paper if you are interested online. Okay, so of course we have to live within. We have to live with this result. So usually people assume some sort of synchrony. In order to develop consensus protocols, so either they look at synchronous, and usually this means that there is a known upper bound on delays of messages. And some people also talk about partially synchronous. And here there is an upper bound on message delay. but that upper bound is not known to the person who's let's say creating the protocol, creating the consensus protocol. But unknown, let's say, to the protocol, to the consensus protocol. The third model which people use in distributed computing is lockstep synchrony. And here we assume that not only are there known upper bounds on delays of messages, but nodes also have synchronized clocks. So synchronous network is sort of what we've assumed here, plus they have synchronized clocks. So what does this allow us? So this allows us to know what when messages are going to reach somebody else, and typically, and in this sort of assumption, a protocol proceeds in rounds. A consensus protocol will go from round 1 to round 2 and so on. Okay, so in round 1, let's say nodes exchange some messages, and because they know that the messages are going to take at most a certain amount of delay. Okay, they know that everybody is going to get my message by a certain amount of time, let's say by this point in time. Okay, so they know that everybody can do is going to receive the message, and they can perform some operations on the messages that they receive. Right? So consensus makes use of the fact, since everybody has synchronized clocks, they know when everybody is going to get the other messages and by when they are going to actually make a particular decision about it. Right? So usually in this sort of a strong assumption of lockstep synchrony, the protocols will proceed in rounds, one after the other. Okay, so distributed system is a very tricky sort of, I would say, a more difficult topic to study. It's just because it's somewhat difficult to imagine what's happening at so many devices which are separated from each other, physically separated from each other. Right? And there are these impossibility results like we just looked at. One of them was the FLP result. And the FLP result says that if you have an asynchronous system and even a single node fails, there is no consensus protocol possible, which is deterministic. Okay, so why do I say deterministic here? So it means that there is no randomness available to the protocol. There is no coin tossing or anything like that. It's a deterministic protocol where you say that if these are the messages, this is the information I have, then this is definitely what I'm going to do. Okay? So they are saying that you cannot have a deterministic protocol that achieves consensus in an asynchronous setting. Even if a single node fails, forget about Byzantine as well. Right? So everybody in all the papers, they are going to have some amount of some sort of synchrony, either partial synchrony or just a synchronous network or a lockstep synchrony, and then they proceed to come up with consensus protocols. Right, so we will look at one protocol called PBFT in the next lecture.